All right, you want to get to the last word?
Yeah.
The
Okay.
last word.
Okay. So this week we did. I did my infinite improbability column on cosplaying and at gaming places like PAX East and E3 Expo, which are gaming conventions. The reason that I did it was I kept seeing this article go around, and I really I'm the kind of person where, you know, because of the journalism background, like I can't read anything and just accept that that's true. I have to read 20 other articles about the exact same thing before I say, okay, that is legitimately true, or this person actually said this. Especially because in social media, Facebook, people misquote people all the time. They take stuff out of context. There's a lot of clickbait out there where, you know, we'll put something salacious in the headline and then you click on it and the article's nothing like that, just to try to get you to click on it and get the traffic. So I kept seeing this article, and it was shared on all the geek sites that I read and stuff like that. And it was just shared this morning again. I think Geek Magazine put it on there. And I don't know why, because this site is not a good, reliable site at all. So I don't know why people kept sharing it, but I think it was just the headline.
I do love your plug on there, though, because you went and said something that plugged your article on there.
Oh yeah, I did. Because I saw it and I was so mad that like it got shared again.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's one of those things where, especially if you have something large like Geek Magazine or something like that, you should have a little more discretion as to what you post. You know, like you should at least like look up what you're doing before you just throw it out there as a legitimate source. You know. Like all these guys who keep, you know, like every time there's a movie rumor about this person is going to get cast as Spider-Man, or this guy is going to be in the next Avengers movie or whatever, 99% of the time it turns out to be wrong. And they keep using the same like 2 or 3 crappy movie site sources that are always wrong, but everybody just uses it anyway because they want to be the first one to get the headline up and get people to click on it. And it's so shitty. It's just this crappy cycle of bad content. So this guy, he made this article. It's called "Booth Babes and Sexy Cosplayers Are in Danger of Being Completely Banned from Events." So you're like, oh my God, how could they ban the sexy cosplayers, you know? So I'm really glad that this guy was able to stand up for the sexy women, because really, I mean, who stands up for sexy women? I mean, nobody. I mean, obviously they're an oppressed minority in this country. You know, everybody hates them. Everybody picks on them. Everyone wants to beat up beautiful women. So it's nice that this guy was you know, so generous to stand up for the beautiful women in this country. You know, like,
are you being sarcastic?
Yes, incredibly sarcastic.
Clearly.
So he writes.
What's wrong with beautiful women?
Well, here's the thing: is he's saying, you know, just recently, right off the bat, first sentence wrong. Just recently, PAX had banned booth babes, and now people don't know the difference between booth babes and cosplayers. A booth babe is someone like a model or somebody who's hired specifically,
like at a trade show.
Well, that's exactly how these gaming things started.
Right.
The gaming conventions are very different from comic book conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Comic book conventions are more vendors and companies selling their wares and things like that. The gaming conventions are more like trade shows, and that's where they came from. That's where their origins came from. So there's still a lot like that.
Right.
And so they hire people who have nothing to do with the game. They don't know anything about the game. They're just, you know, hot girls that they can put out a lot of cleavage and get somebody to come to their table and get interested in their product.
Right.
And they might not be able to talk about
Most
it.
of the people who go to those things have never gotten laid.
Right. So they're like, oh, okay, someone's paying attention to me. I'm going to go over and look at this thing. So the PAX and E3.
This thing, is that what you referred to the woman as?
No, the game. Okay. Yeah. So they go and they look at the game and they hope to buy it. So the thing is he's saying that, oh well, they passed this thing and we need to stand up for the cosplayers because they're going to be next. You know, they're going to ban them and they're going to tell them they can't dress a certain way or whatever. Now there are no,
which ruins his entire con experience.
Exactly, because obviously that's all he's going for. He doesn't care about anything else. So and then he gets into this by the end of it, it goes from like bad to worse, because the article goes from that to saying that all feminists are just jealous because they have small boobs. And therefore,
did he write that?
Oh yeah, legitimately, like that's in the article.
That guy's never gone late.
He said, "It seems increasingly hard to get people to fight for sexy women thanks to feminism, quote unquote. You can free the nipple, but only if they're A cups or B cups women. No women with D cups or women with rocking bodies." So obviously, a real gentleman and a scholar.
That's my pen name, by the way.
And then the best part.
At least he knows cup sizes.
Yeah.
So he's done his research.
He has done research. I don't know if he's ever touched them, but at the end, he uses the famous. I'm not kidding. He uses the famous Holocaust poem.
Oh my God!
What Holocaust poem?
Okay, they came for me. Like they came for they came for the priests, and I said nothing, and then like that the whole and then they came for me, and there was no one left to talk for me, like that kind of thing, to stand up for me.
He equated booth babes to what the Holocaust was.
Yes. He legitimately took out words like Jews and put in babes.
But booth babes are both genders.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's another thing is they are very clear about that, and PAX is very clear about that.
I want to be a sexy booth babe.
I want you to be.
It requires lots of oil.
But I just it's
there's no shortage of oil.
What I try to do with Infinite is I'll talk about stuff that the geeks are interested in, but also kind of try to talk to people who aren't interested in this.
Can I
to kind of inform them of what's going on, or why this is such a weird or interesting thing to talk about.
Can I create a dissenting debate?
Sure.
What? Well, number one, First Friday around here, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people get upset. Well, a lot of artists get upset, or people who run the galleries and stuff, because they think it's glorified wine and cheese night.
Sure.
And it's people should be coming out for art, not wine and cheese.
Yeah.
And my argument back to that is, yeah, but you're getting them out.
Right.
So with booth babes and, the cosplay stuff,
they're not going for that.
Nobody's going to the
nobody's paying that kind of money and reserving hotel rooms and the whole other thing. To look at what they can on the internet. They're going to get a lot more on your porn site of choice.
I like explosions, but an explosion in real life is amazing.
Oh yeah, it is. I agree.
I mean, some of those guys, that might be the only time a girl talks to them. I kind of now I'm starting to agree with what you're saying.
I mean, but the reason that they're there is because the market was okay with it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not
I guarantee you, there's a guy who's oh man, I'm gonna see that girl at the fucking World of Warcraft booth or whatever.
But there's a lot of cosplay. But there's a lot of cosplay girls who are very famous because that's what they do. They have a fan base. They
actually have something to do with the culture, whereas these booth babes are hired professionals, blank slates that have no idea what's going on. They are just like the Coors Lights girls who just are there to...
But you don't think that there's some guys who think the girls actually like them? There's got to be.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as
some, but I don't think it's as many as.
It's the same thing as a strip club, or
Wait, the girls don't like you at strip clubs?
They don't. They like your money. They want you because those girls there are dressed like that for one reason only, is because said company hired them to be you need to get people over here to pay attention to what we're doing, and if you have to show cleavage to do that, and the greater problem might not be the booth babes or whatever's going on. It might be the greater problem is the fact that the men are walking over to them.
Okay.
Right. Well, here's the thing: is and I talk about
if that's the route we're going.
I'm not.
Yeah.
See, the thing is I'm not. I'm looking at both sides in this, because the other thing is we have to take into account that I'm not against any of these people dressing up in this way. I'm not, some puritanical morality police that are going to tell people they can or can't dress a certain way or that sort of thing, because I find it they're saying. Their argument is, well, it's a family event, so people should dress as such. And it's whoa. This is an industry that markets ultra violence to children on a regular basis and is totally cool with that. And most of these games feature women in these clothes that they're dressing up as. The girls are dressing up and these scantily clad clothes that they're copying exactly from the games.
Game, yeah.
Right.
So in other words, it's okay for the multi-million-dollar company that's supporting my event, that's giving me money, to do this, but the little vendor guy can't use the exact same tactic to get people to his table.
Right.
So you can use that tactic to get people to buy a game.
Yeah.
You know, like games like Dead or Alive or something like that, where it's just girls in bikinis and things like that. Or but this guy over here can't use it to sell his T-shirts or whatever.
I mean, I'm pretty sure how it started is like one guy started doing it, and everyone started going over to his booth, and then everyone's like,
and everyone
fuck
figured
that,
it out.
we're doing that next year, you know? So
right.
that's probably because if somebody stopped
it's
doing
not
it,
a new concept.
right?
No,
but when it started, because like if somebody
they've been doing it at monster truck rallies and NASCAR events for decades.
Yeah. But if someone was like, "Oh,
That's
we're
how
not
I learned
going to do
about
it at
sex
our
when I was in
booth.
a NASCAR race.
Our booth is just going to be about games. We're not going to have any hot
nobody's
girls.
gonna go there.
Nobody's
like
going
the
to go
booths
there.
that have the
Exactly.
jerky available, like the different
Beef jerky?
beef jerkies, like elk jerkies. Those are the greatest.
I'm never
because
gonna walk-
It's actually food.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? A man can look at a woman and say she's beautiful. A woman can look at a woman and say she's beautiful. It's very hard for a man to look at a man and say he's beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Well, thank you.
I don't really think it's that. I see
But do you know
guys
what I mean?
all the
Like-
time, and like when
Yeah,
a
but you're
guy's
not there going
attractive.
like, oh, you sure do, but you're not like, hey,
Dude,
man.
have
I
you
don't
ever
think
seen a
that's
dude
true.
with like a 6-pack, like washboard abs?
Like this.
Justin
You can
Bieber?
just
Yeah.
kinda look at
You
that.
know what I mean? Like you look at a dude and you're like, man, he's a really good looking dude. Like, you know?
Right.
Especially if he's standing there showing you his abs.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that a lot. I get that a lot.
But the only reason you're going to know it is if he's showing skin.
But what
That's
does it
true.
have to do with video games?
It doesn't, but them doing it brings more people to the booth.
That's
I'd
so.
rather-
So I'm curious. I read your article, and I wasn't quite sure
where
and
I
this
was on.
and this is just me reading it real quick, and I'm not a real good reader.
Okay.
So he read the headline and that was it.
No.
Right.
I read the whole thing. I read even the cited stuff that you had from the other guy's article and stuff. And I don't particularly know, like, and this is not a knock, is I'm not too quite sure. Like, are you for that? Are you against that? Are you just against this man for writing this article?
What I was kind of going for is I'm kind of shooting in the middle where, I can like in one part I said, like in this particular part of your article, I can totally get where you're going, and then you go off the deep end and you go into sexism world where it's just completely
Right.
Just because his argument was that it was
bizarre.
sexist.
Well, he goes off and talks about women like they're stupid objects. And what I think what I was trying to get at is the main piece itself. People are so concerned about talking about this debate that doesn't exist. He made it up. The whole article is made up. He's trying to say they passed these things and now they're going to come for the cosplayers. No, this happened years ago. It's been functioning fine ever since.
What did you say? It was 2006?
He said nobody was told that this was going to happen. They took a poll on their website, and over 60% of the people who go to these conventions were like, "Yeah, I'm totally cool with you banning booth babes. I'd rather
really?
just play the games." Yeah.
Yeah.
Like totally cool, legitimately fine with it. So it's not like they did this some sort of hidden thing or whatever else. So he's just trying to make a salacious headline and turn it into this big argument that's not there, and turn it into some like, oh, they're coming for the cosplayers, which they're not at all. They've been pretty much almost always left alone.
He just Fox News cons.
Yeah, more or less. So, but what I thought was interesting is that people are so concerned about talking about that aspect of it that they didn't get to the next part where he's talking about how, like, only feminists have tiny boobs and how, women are, fuck toys basically, and just goes off on this crazy shit, and then talks about then uses a Holocaust poem.
toys.
Like, to me, you lose all credibility at that point. Like, I look at this and say, okay, the rest of the article is obviously shit, because at this point he's using a poem about the Holocaust to talk about gaming and booth babes. Give me a fucking break.
Do you think that this guy was I mean, does he write for a reputable?
He writes. It's more or less like it's like a tough guy masculine troll site. Like the entire site is like women are stupid, men are smart. Here's why.
It's like
like every article.
Dragon Ball Z button ups.
Yeah, more.
Shit,
yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah, but it's all gaming stuff. Like,
can we be against that?
Gaming.
Maybe
I know, right?
Yeah,
like can we write an article where we're not like?
It's just guys who hate women because nobody will fuck them.
I'm fairly certain
that's like their
that
whole
the majority of actual gamers are female.
Really?
There's a huge.
There is, yes, huge.
Yes.
Like, my PlayStation friends, like 50% of them are female.
Like on the network?
Yeah, and I don't think any of them are over 12.
So
that's why you're not allowed near a school.
My position essentially was, PAX and E3 should make these things a little more defined. Like if they're going to make up rules and stuff like this, they should be very specific because of the way that you read it.
But didn't you cite that they came up with it in 2006?
No, this is. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you were referencing
and over the
terms
years
and conditions they put in since then.
But over the years, no, they haven't really changed the policy much at all in the last few years. But
they cracked down on booth babes,
right? But I'm saying for cosplayers,
this guy's creating a non-issue.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So your stance is this guy's a mental midget.
This guy's a fucking idiot, basically.
He's
trying to he's trying to incense people.
If we actually want to talk about this as an issue, that they should just set down certain rules that are actually legit. Like they're talking about, like, your skirt can be so many inches and stuff like that. Like we're back in Catholic school and stuff like that. School. Yeah, I mean, legitimate. Yeah. I saw that in Catholic school where they pull out the ruler.
It's gotta be.
It's literally guys who don't have sex or like can't have sex, so they just want to ruin it forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like
if I'm going to be miserable, so are all of you.
Yeah. If a woman wants to walk down the street in a bikini, okay, that's fine as long as she's not naked. Because children
and that's exactly what I'm saying.
But these guys are like, they've probably never even had a real conversation with a girl before. So
are
they're
you
like,
referring to gamers or cosplayers?
People like this guy.
The guy who wrote the article.
Yeah.
Hey, like Rich?
Good.
Yeah. Not like gamers. Like this guy. Like that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think his attitude and the fact that like so many commenters are totally accepting of that part of it plays into the whole Gamergate thing and how that's become a bigger issue now. And now we're talking about sexism in games and how there are such a large majority of women that play games now, but they're completely unrepresented by the industry, and the industry doesn't stick up for them or give a shit about them in any way. I mean, to the point where you have female game developers who are getting death threats. This same weekend, I saw this article shared more times than anything else.
Game developers getting death threats?
Yet the Boston Globe did an article about a woman who was getting regular death threats for being a woman. Like basically,
that's
like
it. Just because
her only crime.
It's legitimately like this is a men's thing. Yeah. Get out of our boys' club.
See, I don't understand if the whole purpose, they say like our whole purpose is to like have sex and so if the whole purpose is to have sex with a girl, now you're like, oh, let me just slut shame her and like make her feel bad. So like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then you get this repressed sexual society.
Right.
And it's like counterproductive
it doesn't play into the biological imperative of finding a compatible mate and procreating.
Exactly.
It's very destructive.
It's like you're doing the opposite.
It's just like,
don't procreate. Fine.
Yeah, exactly. They'll die off.
Yeah.
What's Gamergate?
Oh, you want? I don't know if we have time to get into that.
Can we cut this into a separate section? We're at 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, we would have to really like.
Maybe we can hit up Gamergate next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, very
Give me the Cliff's Notes.
Very long story short, it more or less started as.
Why does every fucking conspiracy have to be a gate?
It's not even a conspiracy. It's just
the Watergate.
Stupid. Yeah. It was just blown out of proportion.
Oh, it's
where this woman game developer, her boyfriend at the time wrote a review of her game, and so people, quote unquote, exposed this like it was some huge scandal. It's not like he was writing for like the New York Times or something, and saying that basically the guy's side of it, you know, the men's side is you know, this woman is you know, a slut and a whore, and the only reason that, you know, she's getting any press at all, you know, there's all these hardworking gamers.
Why? Because she knows how to use fucking Maya,
and you know, she's getting press for her game because of this, you know, and then that turned quickly into death threats and I have located your house. Here's your address.
Is this one of those examples of like, wow, that escalated quickly?
Yes, very, very much so. Like within weeks, it was just insane.
Just because a dude wrote a review of his.
Right. Well, the thing is the guys argue that the whole thing is it's not about sexism. It's not about women or gender or any of that stuff. It's about ethics and journalism, which is just a laugh riot. Like as if these guys ever gave a shit about journalism in their lives, all of a sudden are preaching about journalism. In reality, the whole thing is just like, you're in our boys club, you girls need to leave. And then it turned into kind of a rallying cry because then other female gamers and other female developers specifically, who are, a lot of them are independent developers making games, are getting discriminated against by guys. Guys are bombarding their Twitter, their websites, whatever, with death threats and all kinds of stuff. It's insane.
I will say that, you know, in any field, especially in creativity, I mean, we all know that like in blue collar workplaces, like the sexism is, you know,
yeah,
it borders on, you know, I mean, it is sexual harassment. It is whatever. Yeah. My experience and the history of any creative endeavor is that women notoriously, and even in the film industry, is like when film started hitting big, the only people they would let edit the movies were women because they felt like that was a woman's job to put it all together, to make it all pretty. Oh yeah, there's this great documentary called oh my God, Stars did it. It's like making the cut.
It's called Oh My God.
Yeah, it's called Oh My God. Stars did it. But it goes to the history of editing and how like movies got to be, and then the digital whatever. But it was relegated to a job for women because men thought it was beneath them to put the film together. There's not a lot of female directors, cinematographers, you know, shit like that. And you know, I also don't think, and this is not me being sexist at all, you know, there is a biologic difference between men and women. As far as when I worked on Sons of Anarchy, there was this great director named Gwyneth Horder Patton. Damn it. She did a lot of episodes. You know what I mean? And it's a very masculine show.
Right.
And she did a lot of episodes, and like I think she's moving into features now. It's like she was brilliant. And there was also like a lot of, you know, guys, but most of the people who run Hollywood, like most of the production managers and stuff like that, a lot of them are women. Mm-hmm. And you know, I still don't think it's fair. In some respects, I think you know, it is a man's world,
right? You
know, in a lot of respects. And it's interesting because, you know, women are actually more of the population.
Yeah.
More of the gamers.
Huh?
And more of the gamers.
Well, invariably more of the gamers. But the thing is like, you know, from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
So if you look at studios that make games, if you look at studios that release games and stuff like that, there, you know, does the market not want it? You know, right. I'm sure like, but here's the other thing too. It's like most of these companies are run by men. Do you really think they're going to get a female-centric game right?
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's nice to see like now with like Xbox One and PlayStation 4, like there's a lot of independent games being made, especially by females.
It's not really a fair assessment though, because physiologically a female can put herself into the mindset of a male character and play as a male character in a video game landscape.
Well, just like I can be Lara Croft.
You could, yeah, right.
Which I have no problem being. But I think, you know, I think, so like if they did a new Call of Duty where one of the main characters was female, which I don't know if they've done yet.
Well, they have female characters on there.
But you're not, but it's not like one of the main.
Yeah, well, that's one of the best parts about that game, though. It's like dressing a Barbie doll.
Right.
Like for like, you know, guys sit there and just all day I'll see guys changing their outfits and everything, like the whole entire day.
Best games are all about that.
Yeah.
The outfit.
The thing though, like I can't get into like all the Call of Duty and stuff, mainly just because it's like all it is just like I'm not really a big fan of kids, which is why I'm not having any kids. And it's just these kids screaming all day at each other, or grown adults screaming like kids at each other. Oh, die, you faggot! Oh, I got you! Oh, just
I can't
constantly cursing and yelling and screaming at each other.
I had a 12-year-old tell me I was a piece of shit, and then I just took the headphones off.
And it's and God forbid you have a username that indicates that you're female.
Oh my God!
Forget it. Yeah. Forget it. You will just be insistently harassed to the end of time
because it's just so annoying.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they're all tough. They're all internet tough guys too.
Exactly.
So it's just frustrating. But so we had all this discussion about this. We talked about this.
Well, somebody replied on the Facebook.
Yeah,
I think from what I read. Yeah, I don't know how to read.
I think this is where we were heading.
I think
this is where we were heading because it is the last word.
I don't know where. I thought it was very eloquent.
Yeah, well, mainly and we've heard this before. This guy Frank says, "What does this have to do with NEPA? We get enough stuff of this from other feeds. Stay on course." So apparently he's a sailor.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
Yeah. Nice reference. Thank you.
Yeah, but we have cons. It affects.
This is the greater thing that we've talked about this on the podcast before on how we complain how Scranton and the area is insular and we're 10 years behind the times and it's like this own little area in itself, like it's its own country. But then anytime we try to talk about the outside world, it's like, no, we have to stay here. No, talk about, like it's, and what I did was, I just was very nice.
Did he read the article?
Probably not. He just saw the headline and said, this, to me, this doesn't have anything to do with NEPA. I said, well,
are there cosplayers in NEPA?
Absolutely.
There's cosplayers everywhere.
Yeah.
So then
it is relevant.
There's actually some really great cosplayers in the area that do some really cool events. Mike Watts,
I think their costumes are fucking incredible.
Yeah, and they put so much time and detail.
Steampunk's awesome.
Yeah. It's such the whole design of it,
it's so cool.
I have a friend of mine who makes her living making things for conventions. Actually, like
really?
She makes handmade pillows and toys and all kinds of things, and she's incredibly good at it.
See, but cosplay isn't just sexy. Cosplay is like, I saw that Adam dude from MythBusters. He showed up as the astronaut from Alien.
Yeah, and most of them are not like, the focus is so much on this whole sexy cosplay thing that most of it is not even the females themselves. Like she dresses up regularly and she's anime characters and they're not like these, over the top, scantily clad women or anything like that.
That little 7-year-old girl who dresses up like Optimus Prime.
What?
Oh yes.
I love her.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
but that's that in essence, I don't think that the guy who wrote this article took that into play either.
No. I mean, that's definitely what he wasn't talking about. Right. So
sexy girls.
I said, thanks for the feedback, but we featured entertainment columnists from the very beginning. They're all from the area, and because we have a website, we not only we have a broader audience to reach online, but other scenes to reach as well. There are many people from NEPA who attend conventions, cosplay, collect, play video games, etc. Yet there's very little locally produced content for them about what they love, so we enjoy providing that. In fact, there is a benefit, and we'll expire this weekend, that is geek theme, that we will feature local cosplayers, and we'll talk about that on the podcast and blah, blah, blah. So I mentioned that. And he says, well, I was expecting something different from this site, something more local. Goodbye, good luck.
How is?
And so,
is he Murrow?
I said, well, let me put it to you this. I just said one last thing. He didn't respond, but I said, Frank, a local newspaper can cover the NFL, but that doesn't mean they don't care about local sports.
Right.
The NFL does affect local fans, though, so that's why they cover it. It's the same here. We're sorry this one article doesn't interest you, but we produce dozens of pieces of local content daily featuring local people and events every week.
And that's
so it's like one thing, and you're like, no, done. This whole site, terrible, awful.
Even like
communist.
Just from an outsider's perspective, as someone who moved here recently.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very huge, like almost too much of a focus on like local stuff.
Where are you from again?
Go fuck yourself. So
Canada,
like the local sports thing, like they talk about high school sports on the fucking radio,
right,
and the news.
Yeah.
Like when I moved here, I was like, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Why is that a thing? Right.
And then like coming where I come from, where like there's teams of kids who like the quarterback's gonna eventually be in the NFL, the running back, the wide receiver, the whole defense. And then like here, and it's like, okay, like I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but he's like a 5'5" like Irish kid, and he's a running back. He's obviously not gonna make it to the NFL, but they'll devote like radio time to talking about, oh, this kid rushed for 200
huge
yards.
cover stories.
Did you ever?
Like,
Did you ever hear of a little town called Berwick? Yeah,
I've heard of it. Why?
Berwick was like, did you ever see Friday Night Lights?
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Oh, okay.
Where it was like the focus. Berwick was state champs for like 10 years.
And then you graduate high school, and then you have to go to a community college, and then
I don't think anybody from Berwick ever went to the.
I wouldn't know. I don't watch football.
Yeah. But I mean,
I'm just saying, there's a huge like local focus around here,
right?
Like more than there is like other places.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and the thing is that's why I'm surprised that there wasn't more content that was focused on that particular market, because there's so much focus on sports and things like that. I mean, I saw the same thing in high school all the time. It was like, you know, our drama club had to scrape together a few bucks to put together a play, but all the funding was going to the football players so that they could have these big elaborate games and, you know, all these you know, great events and stuff like that. And it was like, if we got our one play of the year out the door, we were happy.
Yeah.
You know, so it just like all the other clubs, the artsy clubs and whatever, it was like whatever you can scrape together, great, but we don't really care about you. It was the focus was so much about sports.
Well, so sports brings in a ton of money for schools.
And like and that's the thing. Yeah. And it's the same with media. Sports brings in so much money that's what they're concerned about. And they don't the other arts and other interests kind of get cast aside. And it's unfortunate.
Well, if sports didn't exist, neither would ESPN.
Right, exactly.
So I mean, you know, it's a multifaceted market. You know, it has a lot.
If music didn't exist, we'd still have MTV.
No, if reality TV didn't exist, we'd still have MTV.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a video on MTV? When was the last time you watched MTV?
I don't remember the last time I turned on MTV.
I don't even know what's on there anymore.
I don't even know what channel it is.
I don't even know when the last time I turned on my TV was.
Yeah, MTV stopped speaking to me when it started speaking to Teen Wolf. I think it was a lot before that, but
sure.
But the thing is for every, you know, negative Nancy, there's plenty of other people. Like there's a guy named Jason. He said, I love this article, you know, love this column, keep it up. And Kristen says, besides, sexism is something that should be called out everywhere. It affects all of us. I said, that's exactly it. That's why we brought it up in the first place and talked about it. And the thing is I would have, if growing up here as a geek, I guess, you know, this could be kind of our closing note, more or less, is that, you know, you feel very lonely. You know, you feel like you're the only one who's into this stuff. You feel like you know, nobody cares about the things that you do and stuff. I wish I had, you know, a website or something where I could find other local people who are into the same stuff that I was, and I could have met some of these people years and years ago, and I would have been a lot better off because of it. You know what I mean? Like so many of these guys spend years and years, you know, like at home, you know, talking to people from across the country because they're the only people that they can meet, so to speak.
I lucked out because I grew up with them.
See, yeah, and that's the thing is sometimes you do. Sometimes you meet somebody in high school or something like that you can hang out with and get along with, and sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be more resources for local people to get together, and you know, in the same way that, like, you know, to hear about local comedy. There's plenty of comedy fans in the area.
I didn't realize the scope and breadth of local comedy.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And
recently.
Neither did I until I really started focusing on that on NEPA Scene and writing about these guys. Like it opens your mind up to the fact that there's I mean,
it's a couple
these
assholes.
Guys not so much,
couple
but,
assholes.
You know,
still
most
a great
of them.
group of guys. I don't care what anyone says.
And so I think that's
don't ever call me a great guy again.
You're a wonderful asshole.
Yeah.
Acceptable.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope to get more people like that together. In fact, there's a couple of guys who do a podcast called Longbox Heroes that's about comic books, and we're gonna start kind of posting their podcasts to the site so we can kind of share our audiences. Yep, they're right from here.
You can have them on. I wouldn't know what to talk about.
Make sure they're local, or Frank's gonna bitch again.
I know. Frank is gonna come out.
What does this have to do with anything? Well, Frank,
these guys are from Texas.
You don't know how to play chess. Sorry about that, sir. Right. I just want to say thank you guys for coming on. I know
thanks for having
us. Yeah,
it's into awesome. Your. Oh, you're welcome. By the way.
Did Rich write an article about you?
No, I'll never get an article.
No, you have to. You have to win the open mic, and to win the open mic, you have to be funny. So I'll never write an article about you.
You went there.
This guy, this out of towner, this
this Miami, this Canadian.
Are you an out of towner too?
Yeah.
Where?
New York.
New York City or
area?
Oh, okay.
Albany. A little bit outside of Ithaca.
No, but you've been very generous for your time, and I want to say thank both of you.
No, thank you very much. And when do we get our checks?
Yeah.
It's in the mail.
Yeah. Checks in the mail.
Keep checking every day.
I need your Social Security so I can 1099 you.
We'll also need your home address and your mother's maiden name.
You can have my home address. They can't.
Because he's a man.
I see.
He is a man. What did I tell you about his thing? His gig at comedy shows.
Right.
And now it's his gig everywhere.
Is that what you do? You're just like, hey, ladies.
Tries nailing the groupies.
No.
Do you have groupies?
No, I don't have any groupies.
Do you have Band-Aids?
Sucks to be you.
Band-Aids?
No, I saw it in a movie. We're not groupies. We're Band-Aids. So, all right, guys, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Lauren.
Yep. Support the Geek Fest on Saturday at Bones Bar in Wilkes-Barre.
Hell yeah.
6 to 2.
I'll be there.
All right.
So hey.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.